I'm going to do a 90-90 hip shift PRI exercise at the wall, which is a fancy way of saying I'm going to work on my rib cage and my pelvis position. I'm going to use a block. You could use a ball or a pillow or something like that. And I'm going to be incorporating the idea that I have kind of a triangle or like a tripod for a foot. So what that means is I'm going to have a point of contact on the big toe mound, the pinky toe mound, and then right between the heel. And I'm going to be working on keeping that kind of triangular or like tripod shaped contact on my feet, so I don't want to be rolling to the outside or the inside of the foot while I'm doing this exercise. I need to be at the wall or like a door or something that I can put my feet on. And what I'm going to do is set myself up in this kind of 90-90 leg position. I have my block. I'm going to be putting my feet on the wall, and then I have bare feet because it gives me a little bit more of a traction, meaning what I can do is I can get a little bit of a grip or like a traction. Or I can almost think about like if I had a gecko foot, like I'm gonna slide my foot or feel like I'm about to slide my foot down the wall, but I'm not gonna let myself. So as I kind of think about dragging my heels down the wall, I get a little bit of activation in my hamstrings. So I wanna have that ability to do that, and that's why I have bare feet versus sock feet, okay? So I have myself set up in 90-90, and I wanna make sure that my pelvis is relatively equal, my heels are in line with my sitting bones. And then I'm going to take my block and put it between my knees on this kind of long, skinny setting. And then what I do is I get that kind of downward like traction action. So I feel my hamstrings or the muscles in the back of my legs come on. Now we're trying to get our pelvis and our rib cage stacked. So what I don't want is a flare of my ribs and like an arch of my back. And I also don't want to be like overly like tucking my ribs down. So I want to get that traction, and I'm maintaining that like tripod of my foot. I'll use my hands to keep myself balanced here. And then I'm just going to do like a very subtle tuck. Feel my hamstrings kind of pull my pelvis down. I feel almost like my low back lift off the mat. And then keeping my lips together, my teeth apart, so I'm not gritting my teeth. Tongue gently to the roof of my mouth. I'm going to inhale through my nose, into the sides and the back of my ribs, and then exhale through my mouth. And as I do this, I get a lot of like core activation. So I'm trying to, again, inhale into my ribs and then exhale through my mouth. So I get like a deep core activation, some obliques. I'm still squeezing the block and activating my hamstrings by dragging my heels down the wall. Now, if I had a rib cage rotation, which I do, I could lift my arm up on the side that I tend to rotate to. So I tend to rotate back to the right. So I'm going to bring my right arm up, and that pulls my ribs to the left. And I'm doing a few cycles of this. And that's the exercise. I'm really trying to get my deeper core on so I can keep my ribs stacked right over my hips, keep my low back neutral, get myself out of any kind of a rib flare or rib tuck, and really get everything activated and nice and efficient so that I can move on to a more active exercise.